Hello, I created a new Spring Boot project here. So it is an empty template and I will create some services and then I will show using the dependency injection and I'll create some unit tests by mocking some of those services. So let's get started and add our first service. So let's say this will be our service and let's add some super simple functions inside. So that can be one. Let's say it's a function returning an integer. Like this is my function and it's returning integer 1. But to let it make more sense, let's increment some values and then return so that we can test it is really incrementing the value that we are sending to this function, right? So let's say we have another service. For example, this can be our second service. So we will create a dependency between these two services. And then we can see how we can create our unit service, unit test without waiting for the second service to be fully implemented. So this is our second service. And in our second service, what can we have? Like we can have a function. Let's say this is getting the current member count. Let's say this is our function. And we will implement this. It's not ready yet. So far, let's just return 0. Okay. And we will use this one, which will be like, for example, current members will call this function, right? My second service. So let's create a variable here, my second service. And we will call that function. Alrighty, so this is our service. I think I have to make it final. Yes. Cool. So now I will add a test. So I'm going under the test package and I will add my tests. Okay, so let's say my function is test my function. Okay. So what I'll do is when I call my service, by the way, what is my service? I have to define it, right? We have to do the definition here. My service, all right. So when I call it, let's collect the result. Not let, I'm not using JavaScript anymore, but it is integer. Alrighty, so I'll make it final again. Cool. So this is what I'm doing, right? When I'm calling this function, then I will expect something. So this is called as when block. When I call this, then what I'll expect is we can make some assertions like maybe result should be something. Should be what? For example, should be 1. Cool. So this is not a test yet, right? This is just a class. So we want to this class, we want to make this class a test so that we can run. So we just need an annotation here, which will be test. And whenever we use it, then we see the run icon here, right? So I can run this test now. Okay, the test failed. Why? Because my service is null. Yes, so I have to instantiate it. All right, how about now? Okay, now my second service is null. I think I made the same mistake in my service. Yes. Alrighty, so let's run the test again. Yes, now the test passed. Very cool. So this is testing my function, which is asserting that the return is 1. But again, normally now, since I have 0 here, I know what I should expect, right? It should be 1 because my function is incrementing. But what if I don't know what will return here? Because this function is still to do, right? It is not implemented yet. So somehow I should bypass the real implementation and I should mock it. So let's see how we can do that. So for that, again, just like a test annotation, I'll use another annotation, which is mock, coming from Mockito unit test framework. So I'll have my second class, right? My second service. Let's say this is my mock. So what I'll do is, since I want to bypass the real implementation, I should somehow let the unit test know what the output of this function. The unit test should somehow know the output without executing the function because we are bypassing again. We are just passing an input and we will directly get the output. So to set up this, we will have some pre-requirements, like we will say whenever I call the second function, whenever I call this second function, then please just return 2 inside here. Then, by the way, I wanted to return this number by incrementing, right? It was not 1. So this time, if I return 2, then I should expect 3, right? Let's see if it passes or not, right? This is not then, this is then return. Whenever this is called, then return. Okay. So let's see what happens now. The test failed. Why? This is because when we go to our service, like whenever I want to run this, the second service is mocked, but now this class doesn't know anything about the mock, right? We should somehow pass that mock into this function so that the mock is executed instead of the real actual implementation. So this is called as dependency injection. So let's try to do that. Now I will use another annotation, which is the inject mocks. So which means now to this service, I am injecting mocks into this service. So to do that, I have to call this by some parameters arguments. So I'll do that, but for now, let's complete. Okay, I think this is done. And whenever I use this, I have to use another annotation. So there are a lot of annotations, as we already see. Let us extend with what? Mojito extension. Alrighty, I think we are ready now. And we are saying that we are using a mock and we are injecting all the mocks. Like, for example, now we have this mock, right? We are injecting into this service. And whenever it's called, it is using this mock. And this mock knows how to behave whenever it gets some arguments or whenever some functions are called, it knows what to return. So let's go back here. So how can we inject our mocks here in this class? Of course, we need a constructor, right? So it will be the constructor. So whenever there are some arguments passed here, for example, like my second service is passed to this constructor, then I'll use it. Alrighty, so I don't need to instantiate the real implementation, but I'll already pass externally, right? I'll pass this second service, and then this class will use that argument as its second service. And what I'm passing, I'm just passing my mock because I'm injecting here. So let's see what is happening. Okay, it passed. And if I change my argument, if I say that whenever this is called, then just return 5. Where we expect this? We should expect 6, right? Let's run it again. This time passed. Yes. Expected is 3, but actual was 6. So we should change our expected value too. Alright, passed. So let's summarize. So this is the dependency injection over the constructor. And in this way, we are creating a mock and we are injecting all the mocks created here to this class. Inject mocks into this class, and this is the given when then steps of our unit test pattern.